Mustachian meals, intro test, stuffed mushrooms with stuff. 1080p, 60 frames per second, medium, not wide this time. So we'll see how this goes. I'm probably going to do my intro twice. Hi, welcome to this episode of Mustachian Meals. Today we're going to show you how to make a quick, easy, and delicious stuffed mushrooms. It's good stuff. If you've ever been to a bar or one of those TGI Fridays or one of the places like that, it's probably one of those things, but you think, oh man, that's way too hard, way too labor intensive to make at home. Well, let's see. Hey, welcome to Mustachian Meals. Today we're going to do stuffed mushrooms. Staple in bars around the world, but not many people make them at home. I think it's too labor intensive. Well, let's break down the cost, let's break down the process, see what we think. Hey, welcome to this episode of Mustachian Meals. Today, we're going to tackle stuffed mushrooms. It's going to be pretty good. Normally only found in bars, stuff like that. Not many people make them at home. It seems too labor intensive or difficult or whatever. Here to tell you, it's actually pretty simple and delicious. I think I like this angle a lot better. Alright, quick note, during the actual shows I will not be listening to an MP3 player. My phone will be on silent, etc. But let's go. I think I actually really like that angle. It seems to be lined up right to this. So, good to know. I really need to get a laser pointer or something like that so I can do this consistently. Alright, so anyway, today what we're going to do is a cheese, Italian sausage, mushroom, garlic mix for the stuffing. And yeah, we're actually using crimini mushrooms, baby bells, except they are cheaper. These have already been rinsed and cleaned off because, well, you know, they grow in the dirt and poop and stuff like that. So you want to make sure that you do that. So our very first step is quick note to self, get all the steps down either on paper or something like that before the episode begins. That way we don't wind up screwing up. Also, don't take drinks in the middle of sentences. Anyway, alright, so stuffed mushrooms. Alright, so the very first thing that we're going to do, I know I said we're going to pull the stems out of the mushroom, but it's just me here. Normally you would do this at the same time. What we're going to do is we are going to take just some hot Italian sausage. You can also make it yourself by just using ground pork. I don't have a meat grinder, and it's also good. However, this was on sale for like 99 cents, so this is what I'm going to use. Sustainable? No. Responsibly developed? Probably not. Delicious? Let's hope so. Alright, so very first thing that we're going to do. So the very first thing that we're going to do, we're going to go ahead, open up the sausage or start mixing it in, everything like that. This is pretty easy, especially with this stuff. As a matter of fact, in the actual show, I will probably skip over this bit. There is a bit of a challenge doing all the video live, but that's why I'm pre-recording this. I can cut and stuff. So you have this. We're going to go ahead and use a wok. This is just an old cheap wok that we have, all the stuff inside. And we're going to throw it on medium-high heat. It's not going to go all the way, it's not going to go all the way up, but that is what we're going to do. We're going to throw the meat in there. The reason that we're going to do the meat first is because it obviously is going to release some grease, stuff like that, a lot of flavor. When we go to saute up the garlic and the mushroom stems, I'm going to use the same thing and hopefully infuse them with some of that flavor. I don't even know if that's an actual thing, but that's how I do it. So yeah, go ahead and do that. Now, one of the things that I like to do when making sausage in a tube like that is you can cook it like that and wait till it starts to get crumbly. However, if you break it up, split it like almost into sausage patties and stuff like that, it cooks a lot quicker for the same amount of heat. So you want something to cook a little bit quicker, use less resources, natural gas, electricity, whatever it is. There you go. Now it's time for the mushroom stemming. So it's going to be separating out the stems from the actual caps. Again, stem, obviously, this part, cap is this part. Turn that over, and that is what you stuff. Now, previous experience with this tells me that we will always, always, always have way too much stuffing for the mushrooms that we have, unless you get the big portobellos, which are delicious. So I'm okay with that. Let's see how it goes. So what I'm going to do is actually experiment with a couple of different shots. This is going to be kind of boring. So I'm going to start with doing a video, and then I'll do another video, and I'll speed that up. And then, yeah, and then I'm going to do a time lapse just to see how that goes. This is pure laziness. What I've got going on here is I'm going to use a separate colander just because I happen to have to. It is totally not necessary or necessarily even recommended, but this will allow you to take care of the stems as well as a place to store the caps, since I only have hold on, I'm going to do this differently. Especially if you already have washed them, you just want the caps just like that. There's no special tool or anything like that. What you want to do is pull. Make sure you go down as far on the base as you can. So kind of try and get your fingers in there just a little bit. That will give you more delicious goodness to fill. Actually, it won't give you any delicious, but it'll give you space to fill with deliciousness. Now, you don't need to be careful with these, the stems. This one I just broke in half. The stems in this particular dish are getting chopped up anyway, so I'm not too worried about them. I do not want to mess up the caps though. That is where it kind of all comes from. Yeah, I just broke that a little bit, but it's not a big deal. It's not ideal, but it can be done. And you kind of get into a little bit of a zone, I guess. As you go more and more, you start getting a little habit, a little routine going. Alright, so now I'm going to pause this, do another little quick video, another 30 seconds, probably just to speed up. Speed this video up. 2, possibly 8x. Alright, transitions. Got to work on those, obviously. Let's take a look at how our pork is doing. So with this stuff, pork in general, at least ground pork, a good rule of thumb is you kind of sort of want it brown. So all this pink, you kind of want that going out. But you see all the grease and everything like that? That is why we're doing it this way. note to self, I might want to do an elapsed time thing, maybe on the bottom or something like that. I also need to check to see how the audio works on this. I don't think that time lapse worked. You have to get a full second. Every 2 seconds. I only took 18 shots instead of the 30, but I will give it a shot anyway. Alright, so as you see, you break it up a little bit more, and more, and more. And again, it starts cooking a little bit quicker. Just kind of stir it up, and you're good to go. So this is still a touch pink. Let's see if this actually helps. So it's still a little bit pink, so we're going to let it keep going. Now, I'm not... If I was eating this by the spoonful, I would be a little bit more concerned about it. However, I happen to know that this is also going to be getting baked at 350 for an additional 20 to 30 minutes. So, what's next? Alright, first I'm going to have to find a bowl or something like that, so put those in. I could put it right here, but I think I'm going to use the original source of this. Actually, I'm going to switch it because the holes in that particular colander are too big. This one, a little bit better. Alright, let's see. And I do not want hot grease everywhere. Which actually makes the colander a really bad idea. We're going to go ahead and use just a plastic Tupperware. Shake it out, obviously. Not for any health reasons or anything like that. Mostly because I want that grease in here. I want to cook the mushrooms. And I want to cook the garlic in with it. So, one additional thing to mention is at the beginning I need to go through and describe all of the utensils that will be being used so people can actually follow along. Alright, so we got most of it. All good. We're going to go ahead and turn this thing off for now. I obviously did not need something that big. We're going to let it go. I'm now going to go ahead and grab a clove, probably 2 of garlic. 2. And then I'm going to kind of mince that. Make it small, absorb as much. I only want it for flavor, not texture or anything like that. So you'll notice if you're counting, this is 2 knives, but let's go ahead and take a look. Fun little trick with these, instead of peeling them, you can squish them. And the skin kind of comes off pretty much right away, which is very handy. However, if you want to look cool while doing it, flat of the hand and knife will accomplish the same thing. And if you like do some weird mix, like you can pretend that it's a huge secret and process that you learn from monks on a mountain or something like that. If you want. It's especially if you are, cooking with an audience. Most people do not. I would highly suggest getting all your people who are watching to help. Make them do something useful. Alright, so we're just going to chop this. I'm actually going a lot quicker than I initially expected. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this back on. However, I want to drop the heat down just a touch. I only want the grease and stuff to go, so I'm putting it on medium low. Alright. Alright, and now we're just chopping onions. Now, I really hate using steak knives for garlic. Anything small because, well, squish your hand. You see that? Hopefully. See that? And normally I will use an actual chef's knife or something like that. I would suggest using whatever is most comfortable to you. in this particular instance. I don't know if there's a knife that is really, really good at cutting garlic or anything like that, but anything, yeah, anything will pretty much work. Alright, so there we go. Got chopped up garlic. Now, let's throw it in. Okay, if you hear that sizzle, and I'm putting that in the fridge, damn it. If you can hear that sizzle when you first throw them in, that means your oil is hot enough. You don't want it to sit there and absorb the stuff. I don't know that there's actually anything wrong with it. Feel free in the comments below to let me know. But yeah. Oh man. When I do stuff like this, I really, truly wish that smell could go through videos. However, the rest of the time, I definitely think that would be gross smells that people would do. And I, like an idiot, would watch them probably, or smell them. Alright, so now it's just time to chop up the mushrooms. I am going to use an actual chef's blade. This one is not serrated, but it is sharp. Also, you'll notice that it's a bit higher here, so when I cut, you notice that my hands have room. The other reason I'm going to go with this one is, well, I will show you here in a minute. So I'm just going to kind of roughly chop these. Okay. But then I will do them a touch more fine once they're done. You see with this knife, I am able to just do that. Now, remember, big key with knives, you want to let the knife do the work. If you end up like forcing it down, stuff like that, it's very obvious on soft stuff, because without a sharp blade, you will just kind of press against it. You want to get your knife sharpened. I'm sorry, who the hell am I talking to? You want to sharpen your knives. Plenty of YouTube videos on it. This one just has a built-in sharpener in the handle, or in the case. So that's what the deal is with this one. This one's probably 15 years old. But you take care of your stuff, it takes care of you, and you can use it for all kinds of neat awesomeness. Alright, so now that we kind of have it there, I want to get a little bit more fine. So all I'm going to do is this. Okay, I'm probably going to want to go back through and chop it up just a touch. I don't want this bigger than the actual sausage. So alright, so I ended up having to turn that down just a little bit more. I don't want to burn it. This bit is taking me a touch longer than I want. But that is okay. I don't want to burn the mushroom or anything like that. I really need to watch some cooking shows or something and see if there's anybody who does it. I don't know, Emerald or something? Because I don't know what you would talk about while I am sitting here. So that's why I've kind of been partial to the time lapses and stuff like that. It allows you to see kind of what's going on, especially when it's tedious. Remember, chopping should not be tedious. This should just be a thing that you do. Mostly because a huge chunk of recipes, chopping is the biggest pain and the biggest turnoff I found in people cooking for themselves. Shit. Okay, so you see here, this is actually going through relatively easy, and it is chopping them up into really small things. So I'm okay with that. You can also use a food processor or something like that if you want. However, muscle over motor. All right, so let's see how our garlic is doing. It is browning nicely, which means it is cooked through. Okay, nothing is sticking to the bottom, which is impressive because, well, this is a really bad pan for that. But let's take a look. Now, one additional thing I'm going to do right now, because we are getting close, I'm going to go ahead and preheat the oven, just 350. Alright, let's take a look and throw in our mushroom stuff. Woo! That was fun. Don't burn yourself. So I'm going to actually turn this on super low. Just kind of let it absorb all of the flavors. Moving the handle around. I'm now going to grab a saucepan. This one's just going to be kind of small. And I'm going to make a cheese sauce. Now this stuff is going to go in the cheese sauce as it cooks and everything like that. And then this is going to, then cheese sauce is going to go into this. We're going to mix it all together and have it. I mean, chewing it. Well, come on now. All right. That's a pleasant one. Let's adjust this angle. I do not know where I would put this. Like right here. No? Oh, there we go. Okay, so this angle. Hold on. Okay, so this angle is actually in the glasses cupboard. Second shelf with the Gorilla Clasp. This is kind of cool. Alright, so in order to make the cheese sauce, I took and modified this recipe from Mark's Daily Apple. It was for a Philly cheesesteak. That's how I've made it before. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw just a smidge of a medium. And the very first thing I'm going to do, good God, wasteful Alright, as I've got this heavy whipping cream on sale again. This was, I believe, was $1.99. You can normally find it a little cheaper, but yeah. Alright, so we have it there. It's getting nice and warmed all the way through. And this is a pint. This is a cup or something. I don't know. Anyway. So, voila. There we go. If I have milk or something on. Actually, this, yeah. So there we go. Alright, now what we're going to do with this is we're going to bring it up to a simmer. There is not a secret per se, but a thing that you definitely need to be aware of while warming up cream is it will stick to the sides and burn. You do not want that. So a relatively constant motion every couple of minutes, whatever, those will both work to prevent that. Alright, so while we're doing that, one of the things it's for is for cheese sauce, and it's time to grate some cheese. Boring stuff again, I know. What I'm going to do is I'm actually using a, hold on. There we go. What I'm going to end up using is both cheap block of cheddar, extra sharp, because sharp is delicious. If you're going to eat cheddar, you might as well. We have an open one already. But then I'm also going to use a touch of hard Parmesan or Reggiano that we purchased at Costco a while ago. So when you see me going off and doing stuff, this is me scraping the inside of this pan to make sure it doesn't burn. A whisk, probably not the best job for this, but this particular whisk actually has a silicone border around it, which allows me to use it kind of much like a spatula. Alright. Now, I don't measure stuff all that much. So what I'm going to do is use this and probably half of the other block of cheddar. Yeah. Here's cheddar shots. I know a lot of people, when they compare the price per ounce and everything like that, prefer the pre-shredded cheese. My little brother does that, everything like that. However, I would urge you, next time you go to buy some pre-shredded cheese, take a look at the ingredients. Okay, the ingredients of this: cultured pastured milk, salt enzymes, and this particular one has artificial color. However, you will see a lot of other stuff in pre-shredded cheese because they can get away with it. It's a filler and stuff like that. So even though the cost per ounce will probably be similar or even exactly the same, you're technically getting more cheese, less cornstarch, potato starch, sawdust, whatever it is that they put in it. Okay, eventually I will figure out how to make my own cheese. And yeah, we'll go from there. The other thing to remember is when you go to store cheese, you want to make sure it's in an airtight thing. Cheese has a tendency to absorb the smell of anything around it. So if you have onions in your fridge or anything like that, you will want to be careful with that too. So this is not actually doing anything as of yet, which you'll find is just getting heated through. We want to bring it to just under boiling is when we're going to put the cheese in. So let's go ahead and do the touch of Parmigiano Reggiano. Oh yeah. So that may look like a fair amount of cheese, and it is, but we're also making a fair amount of cheese sauce. So it's okay. Now, a lot of people think this is too hard. This is a hard cheese. I think it's too hard to actually grate, and it is a challenge, but it can most definitely be done. The key is to find a good angle on it. Okay. I totally forgot to do that too. Okay, so note to self. Forgot to point the camera. One additional thing I just thought, since I'm kind of making this up as I go, is onions would probably be pretty good. I might do that while I'm waiting for the cheese sauce to go. So let's put the camera back up there. So we're gonna look. You'll notice this is steaming just a little bit, and it is getting. It's getting very hot. You'll notice a film will start to develop on top. Here, this is a little bit closer than I initially expected. So I'm going to actually turn that down just a little bit. This is a time thing here. So, alright, so I'm going to chop up an onion real quick. Just a half an onion. Right now I'm going to use a white or yellow onion, whatever you have. Up the heat. Oh my goodness, my hands are all sticky. I'm going to up the heat on the mushrooms, and I'm going to throw the onions in. Might throw a touch of butter in there. But we'll... Sweet. Alright, that is just about perfect timing. I just raised the heat on the cream again. That's smelling good. Now, in theory, if I plan this ahead, you'd want to do the onions first. Mushrooms take a lot less time to cook. But there we go. Now it's time to show you the cream. This stuff is looking good. So, this is beginning to froth. Slightly boil. Let's go from this end. Alright. So, that is perfect. That means we are ready to add our cheese. So, I'm going to turn the heat down. In theory, and in actuality, You can turn the heat off right now, which I may end up doing if that keeps boiling. We'll see. Throw the cheese in, but you want to make sure the cheese melts. Alright, so this, oops, there's some onion in there, who cares? We're going to eat it all anyway. Alright, but as the cheese goes in, stir constantly. That ensures that it gets melted and added in with a good consistency. So hopefully this will be thick enough. I probably should have measured it out. I think this recipe might need to do more cheese. We'll see. And of course there are things that you can put in as thickeners. I'm not too incredibly worried about it. Alright, you'll notice that there's not very many chunks of cheese, just a chunk of onion. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and let that go cold for just let that go warm for just a little bit longer. One of the things that I found that surprisingly makes a good difference, very subtle, about a tablespoon of spicy mustard. This is Dijon. I have spicy brown, but this one's the one that's open. That adds just a touch of extra flavor into your cheese sauce, which is awesome. So it looks like I am probably going to cover this, turn off the heat, and well, shred some more cheese. Alright. So let's shred some more cheese. Oh, see how that's looking. That is looking good. That is smelling amazing. You want to be careful of the big old chunks like that one I just put in. If you aren't able to get to it immediately and start stirring, that could potentially cause a problem. However, I know that I've made this multiple times, so I know that I can. So if you want to err on the side of caution, if you want to err on the side of awesome, does not matter. Now to do this, you're going to want a cookie sheet. Okay. Using this one, I don't know if it's actually going to be big enough. So, they usually suggested that you spray some oil on there. I don't do spray oil, like Pam and stuff like that. So, here's what I'm going to do. Don't judge me, this is just canola oil. I'm going to pour just a touch on. That. And I'm going to take a paper towel. I'm going to kind of just let it do its thing. I'm going to take a paper towel. I also have a silicone brush that I could use for this. Just make sure I get all of this. I just don't want the mushrooms, the really awesome, delicious part of this, to stick to the pan. Oops. Alright, so let's go ahead and... Okay, there we go. Okay, you'll see some of that oil go through and kind of separate and sit on top. Not a huge deal. If that concerns you, you can pat the stuff dry. I don't, because I don't think it's worth it. It is something possible. So you now have that. All the stovetop stuff is off. To fill the caps. So in order to do that, you can of course use any type of spoon that you want, whatever. In this particular instance, I'm just going to use a ladle. The reason for that is because this particular pan, all of the non-stick stuff is totally gone. So I'm not worried about scratching it. So you see here that one of these, way too much to fill those. So let's go through. Boom. Pour. Okay. Obviously, with this particular ladle, It is not possible to just get that thing in there. Alright, so everything is nice and filled up. Obviously, we have a lot more of the cheese sauce. Now, if you want to make this pretty, one of the things that you can do is go ahead and do it just like this and throw it in. You're done. When you go to take it out, all you have to do is lift up each of the caps. So this is a step if you want it to look pretty. Want to do something like that. Me, I'm going to chew this stuff. And it seems silly with all of this, which can be used for anything. So, I am just going to kind of pour it over the top. Because that's how I roll. Alright, 20 minutes later. Let's see how this looks. Alright, there you are. Stuffed mushroom type things. You can see that the cheese is still a little bit thin in there. That's because it was locked down. That is going to be damn good though.
Looks delicious, baby.
It does. So, any ideas?
Put it on the plate.
That's what I'm going to do. Was talking about not pouring everything on there.
Oh, I would grab a spatula.
I know. So this would be how you do it if you were going for pretty.